Listen, I understand that it may be hard right now. It seems that the 1,000 on your left and 10,000 on your right that was promised to never come near you has indeed stepped into close proximity of you, becoming overwhelming beyond bearing and completely draining mentally and in your spiritual walk with Christ. But can I just give you the truth that we as a people have deafened our ears to hearing? In order to grow, there must be hardships and difficulties that meet you along the way that God will use to help build you and catapult you into your next level. That's why if you look back on it, you'll see that God used that situation to build you and strengthen you so that what once stagnated you has now become your footstool, and what once deceived you is now easy to discern. He uses what was meant to destroy you to instead strengthen you. You see, we have to understand that Satan is on a leash, meaning that whatever battle you're currently in the midst of, God has allowed it to happen. But don't let your hearts become hardened at that truth, but instead look at it from a more heavenly perspective, from the perspective of God. If God were to make your life perfect right now, you will forget him. So instead, he uses those trials and sorrows you go through to get the glory through your life. He uses the bad times in your life to remind you that he's good, that he's real, that he's true, and that he stands on his promises. And let me say this, some people are quick to claim that God isn't present in their troubles, or could it be that you haven't surrendered your troubles into God's hands? You're sitting around complaining, claiming that God doesn't see you or care, but whole time God is like, why would I intervene in the battle that you're fighting yourself? If I were to step in now, all you would think is that you did it by yourself. And hear me, God does everything for his glory. So you can't be face to face with a situation thinking to yourself and using your own might and strength to figure it out and then expect God to appear and make it all better. It's only when you surrender will you see the fullness of God, his resurrection power. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 8 through 9. This is the easy version. I like how it is written. It says, we receive trouble all the time, but that does not stop us. We do not always know what to do, but we are not afraid to continue. We have many enemies, but we always have friends. People hurt us, but they never destroy us. So instead of complaining, becoming weary and distressed, looking at what the enemy has brought to your eye, focus your attention on what the enemy is trying to prevent you from seeing, which is God. Which is that if you continue to pray like that, if you continue to be devoted to God like that, if you continue to be zealous in your worship and in your prayer and your reading time, there's breakthrough that's going to happen. If you continue to persevere and build and strengthen your endurance, there is breakthrough that's going to happen. Focus and understand that if the enemy is causing this to happen in my life, what is he trying to prevent me from receiving and stepping into? The enemy wants to blind you from God and his promises. And let me tell you, if you want to see breakthrough, remind God of his promises. Once you remind the Lord of what he has declared over your life, and let me tell you, you must come to him with an unhardened heart, a repentant heart. You must come to him in humility and humbleness. Then you shall see the Lord move on your behalf. You shall see the works of his hand take action in your life. You're going through what you're going through because the enemy knows who you are. So it's time you get up and see for yourself who God has declared for you to be. Who God declares you to be. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 11 says, yes, as we live our lives, death is always near because we serve Jesus. As a result, people can see in our weak human bodies that Jesus is alive. Going through difficulties gives us the privilege to see God in a supernatural way, to experience God in the supernatural way. Ask the Lord to reveal himself to you in the troubles you face so that you may have peace and joy even through the trying times. Romans chapter 8 verse 18 says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Greater is coming. You have to trust God, be obedient, be sensitive to the Spirit in this season. Keep your ear close to God. I hope this has blessed you all. Amen.